Alright, what is up, everybody? Welcome to more coverage of the 2022 Championship, TNT Championship Season 1. I am Delthius, and we are going to hop into Mishi vs. Tatanka here shortly. We are in the round of 8 of the Premier League. And let me just show you real quickly the players' journeys to get here. So we had Mishi defeating Snake 3-0 in the first round of Group A. And then Mishi beating Bendove in the winner's match to advance out in first place of Group A to make it to the round of 8. And for Tatanka in Group C, was able to take down Sasha in the first game, and then lost to Erlu in the winner's match, and then in the final match was able to beat out against Kipo to secure the second place of Group C, which brings us to the round of 8 Premier Division brackets. We just saw Marmu versus Melvin Fro. And now we are looking at Mishi versus Tatanka to battle it out here to make it to the semis. And I'm excited. This is going to be a good game. Mishi versus Tatanka should sound like a familiar matchup if you've been locked into the scene lately. We had, of course, that was the Premier League Championship last season. Even 2021 Winter Duels, we had Mishi versus Tatanka at the end there, so this could very well have been the grand finals this season. It's kind of fun when that just happens in the brackets, though, where this kind of match ends up in the round of 8. So one of these titans will fall here. Mishi, I think, is a very unique tooth and tail player, arguably the GOAT. And my justification for that would be twofold. I think if you actually did tally up all the first place, second places, and all the different tournaments over the year, I want to say Mishi probably has the most. And then also the fact that Mishi has been fighting through so many different metas, so many different balance patches. I mean, literally from the launch of the game up until now. But Tatanka is no slouch either. Got into the scene a year or two ago and has been doing quite nicely. I think his first time in Tooth and Tail Championship was Intermediate League, and then the last 2 times have been Premier League. So really fun story behind these players here. Really curious to see how this game is going to go. And if last patch was any indication of Tatanka's playstyle, he really does seem to be someone who likes to champion the meta. So maybe looking at Tatanka's comps here would be a good way to get your hands on the pulse of the Tooth and Tail meta here. So yeah, let's get into it. Game number 1. So in the top, we've got Mishi. And in the bottom, Tatanka. And I was just saying, Tatanka is normally somebody to show you kind of what the modern meta of Tooth and Tail is. But this deck to me looks a little bit wonky. It almost looks like Tatanka's revenge, Mishi, for last season's finals, right? With the ferrets here. Like, alright, you want to use ferrets, I'll show you how ferrets are done. Coming out from Tatanka. And double tier 3 as well was a lot more popular last patch. Before that, I think it was kind of a meme, but now I think everyone generally agrees double tier 3 is reasonable in a lot of positions. The Boar Fox also is a really good pair too. The Boar, again, is just good for that early game push. Can also the Boar is one of those units in most cases with a Boar push, you're gonna get damage done because it deals that extra damage to the structures, it blows up. So 9 times out of 10, a little mole rush coming out here. Tatanka does see it, though. That Boar is going to make something happen in most cases. You know what I mean? Even if you don't win the game with it, you're going to march to their base, you're going to trade well, you're going to blow stuff up. So it's pretty nice. Meanwhile, Mishi, with the Cam Falcon, I'd say that's the biggest difference here, is that Tatanka's really lacking tier 2 outside of the ferrets. With Ferret Balloon, though, and Mines, ferrets are no slouch this patch, for sure. It's not as much of as a crazy pick as it used to be. So, but one thing I'm worried about with Tatanka's composition here is he doesn't seem to have a lot of options, right? It's either make the ferrets work on the tier 2 slot or skip tier 2 completely into that Boar Fox. Maybe the balloons and mines can help get you there. But generally, the tier 2 is really where your big core is at, Good scout from Tatanka here, sees Mishi as being greedy. Pretty typical Mishi play. likes to macro up most of the time. Isn't looking for a quick win or anything like that. Just wants to macro up, get the 2 base economy, get that composition that he's looking for going. And Tatanka's going to see that, so. Both players here with that handshake agreement to get into a 2 base game. Yeah, I wonder if Mishi saw these mines go down. I like to say, too, sometimes the first mines of the game are the most impactful because you don't know what's in your opponent's deck, right? So you don't even know that mines are an option. So until that first mine goes off, you're not even thinking about mines. And Boar Warren coming out here from Tatanka, good fake out. That was actually really, really important, to be honest. He showed Mishi that he was farming up and instead used that money to build that Boar Warren. So Mishi really needs to see this Boar Warren right now, and he does not. So right now, Tatanka is a bit ahead on the mind games, but Mishi's gonna go ahead and build his own board around the same time anyways. This might end up being better for Mishi since he got those farms out a little bit quicker. It's just gonna depend on if there is enough of a window for this boar from Tatanka to be knocking on Mishi's front door before his boar is ready. But again, I mean, okay, here's the fox, and you know, actually, now that I'm thinking about it, this might be really smart to bring in against Mishi specifically, because Mishi's not a player that normally is looking to do early game aggression, right? So Tatanka can cut corners on things like the Chameleons and the Falcons to get that double tier 3 out, and Boar Fox is going to be very nice. The Boar is going to deal with the tier 1, the Fox is going to deal with the tier 2, and this is going to be a strong army. Coming out from Tatanka. The question is, will the Cam Falcon be enough to go toe-to-toe against the Boar? And Mishi thinking about moving out now, but those mines let Tatanka know what's up. Tatanka throwing down some balloons, and Tatanka's going to get away with this. I don't think Mishi can come in here and punch in before Tatanka's Boar Fox is ready. He's going to try it. Let's see if he's got enough. That one balloon in the back is firing. Yeah, Mishi realizing this isn't going to work out is going to head home. And now we've got that boar here from Tatanka, but I think Mishi will be fine. His own boar is going to be here out shortly. Did Tatanka scout the boar? Yes, he did. Of course he did. And that's why you don't see a ton of tier 1 on his side. This is a really cool comp coming out of Tatanka. This might be the polar opposite of last season's Grand Finals, right? Where it's going to be Mishi trying to figure out how to deal with Tatanka's deck that Tatanka designed to beat Mishi. Because maybe I'm overthinking this, but this Boar Fox style, it really seems custom geared for Mishi's kind of slower play style. Boar goes down. The Fox lives though, and that's the important part from Tatanka. The Boar is kind of expected to die. You really want to babysit this Fox though. This is where you're going to get more and more value. Yeah, Mishi needs a, where is this balloon? He's got one balloon here. Yeah, he really needs to get this out forward to block the Fox and the Ferrets from really shelling him down. But it's going to be difficult to, now that Tatanka's got a little bit of this middle ground control. Mishi's going to move out again. But yeah, this is tough for Mishi. I mean, you can't really mask the Falcons or else the Fox is just going to shred him. You know, all these balloons are up. Tatanka can easily expand over here in this third base. I like the moles from Mishi, but you know, he needs fodder in the front. Yeah, the Fox is really, really great here. Yeah, maybe Mishi tries to find an angle where he can start dealing with these balloons one at a time. That's pretty smart. He'd love to get rid of this boar. Looks like the boards are going to trade there. Oh my god, does the Fox stay alive? It does right now. Tatanka's Fox control is on point. And if Mishi can't kill that Fox, this is looking really bad. The Fox stays alive. Tatanka killing it so far. And what I'm really worried about here is the third base. Because let's say these players keep going back and forth. Well, maybe Tatanka actually can pierce through right here and get that game-ending damage done. Mishi not able to afford an additional boar, by the way, where Tatanka's new boar is already almost up, and that's going to be it. Tatanka with a really cool composition here. Taking down Mishi in game number 1. I'm really curious to see what these deck selections are going to be in hopping into match number 2 here. Alright, in the bottom we've got Mishi, and to the left Tatanka. This is what I thought would happen. I figured Tatanka's kind of got this deck sorted out specifically for Mishi. And I imagine we're going to see Tatanka kind of stick to his guns with this comp. And the series is really going to be defined by how well Mishi can shift and Mishi can think on his feet and figure out a composition that's going to be able to go against this. And I like the small adjustment here for Mishi. Mishi's probably pretty practiced at the moment with Squirrel, Mole, Cam, Falcon. I imagine that's like the core that he wants to stick with. Just swapping out the Boar for the Wolf. The Wolf with the Swift bonus, the attack speed bonus, is really going to power up those tier 2 units, even the tier 1, and help them chase down the Fox, help them overpower the Boar, overpower the Ferret. But if you're Mishi, I wonder if you also need to kind of consider a change in build order, right? Like, do you really want to let this go to a 16 farm game? Or do you want to kind of make it scrappy? Do you want to move out, you know, not necessarily death blows, right? But move out 12, 15 squirrels, couple cams, whatever, and force Tatanka to build squirrels. Force him to build mines. You know, don't let him just get his double tier 3 out. Or maybe Mishi's thinking, you know what, I can take this to a 16 farm game, and I'm confident with the Wolf here, my comp's going to do better in that big heads-up fight. But really, Tatanka's decision-making with his balloons, with his mines, I mean, once Tatanka's really hunkered down, and he's got that balloon wall coming, he's got a bunch of mines on the field, it's going to be hard to get some value. This map looks a little better for both sides here. Nice job from Mishi. Going to get a little bit of damage on that farm, but good response from Tatanka there. And yeah, here comes Mishi. He's going to put on a little bit of pressure. More and more moles on the way. Kind of surprised to only see 2 Squirrel Warrens here. But maybe I'm underestimating these moles. They're actually doing a really good job up front tanking. And yeah, look at this. I think this is a great playstyle adjustment for Mishi coming into game number 2 here. Again, you know, Mishi doesn't have to end the game, but he's just gonna make it to where, hey, we gotta scrap a little bit. You gotta earn that second base. You're not gonna be able to just go up to 16 farms on 6 squirrels and then go into your board. So curious if Mishi's gonna push the issue or just go home. Looks like he's doubling down. I mean, more tier 1 Warrens on the way. Mishi does have that second base rolling, so yeah, I think this is great. You know, Mishi's going to keep the pressure on, but he's not fully committing. He is expanding up front, and really, as long as Mishi prevents Tatanka from expanding, Mishi can play this game all day. He can trade another army out, you know, sneak in an extra farm or 2. And again, because Tatanka is really all in on this late game strategy, he doesn't have a lot of early game tools. He's going to be reliant just on squirrels, maybe some mines. But hey, I mean, sometimes just squirrels is not that bad, and Mishi did have to sell off some moles, so Tatanka actually has a big unit advantage right now. Mishi does have the defender's advantage, though. But sometimes you still would rather be on the offense because, you know, killing the Warrens and stuff, but Mishi will trade this out, and this is looking really bad for Tatanka now. He did kill 1 Warren, but I think he needed to do a lot more damage than that to justify being behind. Okay, well, you know what? I'm not feeling as bad for him. I didn't realize he already had that second mill up, so he's going to be able to throw up some farms. His economy is a little bit behind, but it's not so far behind where that's game. So this Mole Warren up here is still producing for Mishi. A bit of an oversight there for Tatanka, never cleaning that out. But Mishi's going to come in again. Will he have enough to break? Oh, looks like he is going to start snowballing here. And I think that's game. Yeah, I think this second base getting denied again is just too much. So I imagine Tatanka will be forced to tap here shortly, and we'll be hopping into game number 3, 1-1. Even if Tatanka cleans this up, He's going to take some pick damage. He's going to take some warren damage. He's already behind on economy. But again, you know, important round of 8 tournament match, right? There's no reason to hit that surrender button until it's for sure 100% over. So the game will continue, but you know, for a long time I was kind of torn between like trying. Generally I don't think dishonesty is good in anything ever in your life, but like I don't know, dishonesty is maybe too harsh of a term, but I try to hype it up. You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh, Tatanka can come back, but I kind of adjusted my casting style to be more realistic to help people learn the game, because right now he's super dead. If Tatanka does come back and win this, it's a miracle. And he's going to try with some tactical moves like this. And again, I think it's smart in a tournament match to go ahead and try something like this. But maybe if he had lizards, he's hoping that Mishi's going to move out. And Mishi doesn't realize Tatanka's standing right here. And then Tatanka can base trade. This is really smart from Tatanka. He's even got this mill over here, but now Mishi busts him. So that should be it, yeah. Tatanka gonna come home down to 1 puny farm. Okay, here we go. Hey, I love it. You know, why not? Again, if you made the decision to stick in after you're pretty much dead and try to make a miracle happen, I love I love trying to get into Boar Fox. That's pretty funny. All these mines hurt, but I mean Mishi can afford to just step on them all. It's fine. And that should be it. Tatanka should be tapping now. Oh man. Alright, Tatanka. He's got 360 bucks. He's gonna build another mill. Alright, so that's it. We're gonna hop into game number 3. And again, the game was over the second time Mishi denied the expansion. The first time, it's like, okay, Tatanka was in a bad spot, but then he kind of stabilized that second expansion and was getting back into it. But when Mishi killed it again, Tatanka was just too far behind. So 1-1 here. And yeah, I really like that playstyle adjustment from Mishi. You know, getting aggressive, understanding, okay, Tatanka's going to put together a really strong late game army, so, you know, let's make him work for it there. Let's fight it out on one base for a little while. All right, game number 3. Yeah, Zid in chat, that is true. Tatanka playing the endurance game with Mishi. That's a good point, you know. I mean, if he's staying in the game, you might exhaust your opponent a little bit. You might make them tilt because they're thinking what we were thinking, like, come on, get out of the game already, you know. Anything like that to give you an advantage on a game that you've already lost. I mean, why not? On the left-hand side, Mishi changing it up again with the Owl this time, and over on the right-hand side, Tatanka. Owl's kind of an interesting choice. It's bad against the Boar and good against the Fox, generally speaking. Owl hasn't been as popular this patch since that Wolf-Owl combo was nerfed, but I think Owl can still do fine. Probably, I don't think I'd be out too far on a limb saying it's probably the worst of the tier 3 at the moment, but it still probably scales the best, right? I mean, 4 or 5 owls is still still pretty dang scary. So pretty weird map. Both players with a bit of a natural, right? Mishi's got this one, Tatanka's got that one, and then it's like one player can expand north, one player can expand south. Maybe this is better for Mishi. I don't know. It's a really awkward map, to be honest. I think it's going to be better for Mishi because I think Tatanka is going to be forced to have to expand up here, which Mishi can kind of hit pretty easily. I think it's a little bit more natural for Mishi to just expand out this way. I even like the fact that he's getting his second base here, kind of nodding to the fact that this base is free. You can take it whenever you want. Might as well have an easy third, right? Because thirds are generally pretty contestable. So, we're going to have to let this one cook. I mean, I don't think Mishi... Maybe Mishi wants to go to a 16-farm game with the Owl, but I still think it's generally correct against this deck from Tatanka to try and put on a little bit of pressure early. Tatanka doesn't have a lot of good early game tools. Mishi, by the way, swapping out Mole for Lizard as well. Which, this is actually a pretty good map for Lizards. It's pretty big. A couple different attack paths, so the Lizards could run around and be little Hellions. Tatanka with 200. Okay, gotta go for that boar. Needs to be scouted out for Mishi. I think Mishi does have the tools to deal with the boar in between the balloons and the falcon. Balloons are actually, I think, pretty strong against boar, to be honest. If you got your due diligence on targeting the boar with the balloon, I mean, it'll take it out pretty quick. Great scout from Mishi. Great scout from Mishi. He sees the 16 farms. He sees the tier 3. But what's the response? You don't really want to owl into that. This is really old school. This was one of the first responses of tier 3 that players figured out when players would go one base tier 3 and you couldn't quite break it right. They realized, hey, you could just farm up really hard. You know that the attack's not going to come for like a minute and a half until the tier 3's here, so you can farm up and then build units. This is a really textbook response for Mishi, so I'm curious how well it's going to work out. But Tatanka, very smartly seeing the farming happening, throws down the fox, because that's saying to Tatanka, well, hey, if Mishi's macroing up, I'm not going to get attacked very soon, so I don't have to worry about making like squirrels and mines and stuff. I can just go ahead and get that fox up too. And the fox is really going to throw a wrench in Mishi's plans here of this falcon defense. I think Mishi really needs balloons. Balloons are going to be great against the ferrets, boars, and fox. And yeah, here comes that first balloon. Also smart for Mishi too. He didn't need to build balloons until just now because they build pretty quick, right? So you don't want that balloon money just sitting around doing nothing until the attack actually comes. Tatanka not slouching either though on macroing up. We're getting into a big fat late game here. Potentially. It's going to depend on how this attack goes when Tatanka pushes out with his boar fox. It's either A, going to just end the game, right? One player is just going to wipe and that's going to be it. Or B, players are going to trade pretty evenly, and then we're going to get into a real fun match, which I hope is what happens, because I love to see the decision-making on, you know, what to sell, what to build after that kind of big trade engagement. Oh, man. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Maybe Tatanka's not going to move out. If that's the case, we might get into a hyper late game here. Both sides having balloons that are really going to delay the game. Once enough balloons get up, it becomes very difficult to attack in. Oh, yeah. All right. If you said you wanted a late game, here you go. Looks like we're going to be buckling in. I wonder if Mishi's a little bit exposed here in the main. Getting into the 4 owls. Is Tatanka going to actually try to push in? I think Tatanka's best path might have been here. I don't think he can make it just attacking at all the balloons. And yeah, Mishi is pretty exposed over here, to be honest. I wonder if he's thinking about that. He does see the movement of the army thanks to that extra vision from the balloons. And this is a good go moment from Tatanka. A lot of owls still in production here for Mishi. Mishi desperately trying to get up a couple more balloons here. And I think these balloons will get up. At least that back one will. This front one is probably going to go down. But when is Mishi going to actually want to dive into this? The Falcons are actually really nice here. They're not going to have as much trouble like finding a tile, because units have to find a tile to stand on before they can attack. So when you get all clumped up, you can have a lot of units just trying to like run around, you know, finding a tile to stand on. But since you have a lot of flying units, it's going to be a bit easier there. Tatanka doesn't commit, but just the wall of balloons. Oh, this is giving me bad flashbacks. There was a meta a few years ago where balloons were way too good, and every game just became balloon walls. It was not fun. I think we're starting to get there, ladies and gentlemen. 13 balloons out of Tatanka on the field, 4 for Mishi. These owls, though, you know, eventually these mice will just run past the balloons, right? Start getting damage in. Tatanka might want to consider getting a second boar as well. The one boar is going to do nice for now, but Mishi is not slowing down on that owl production. Okay, so we're gonna have to start thinking about total amounts of money on the map, right? 1, 2, 3, 4 mils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mils. So Mishi does have a mil advantage. Well, if he can manage to get this one, to be honest. Tatanka might do a good enough job of zoning Mishi off this mil. I feel like Mishi can still get this one, but hasn't yet. As it stands, Tatanka does have an extra base up on Mishi, so Mishi needs to think about either attacking in or expanding to this 9 o'clock that he kind of left open. Maybe start working on some of these balloons over here. 3 foxes for Tatanka. So many mice. Yeah, now these mice will eventually just start getting value done. Needs to be careful too. The commander can get very easily sniped by the balloons. The owl can get sniped by this amount of balloons. I guess 1 boar actually seems to be enough against all these mice, so. Good decision making there from Tatanka. This balloon really, I mean, this owl really needs to die for Mishi. He is trying to target it down. The owl does fall. Or, I'm sorry, the boar. So now these mice can start getting some value. Oh my god, Mishi's cleaning this army up! A lot of the critical units for Tatanka falling here. Tatanka still does have a really good economy, so he can rebuild those tier 3, but he'd have to sell down a lot on the tier 1. He's got so many tier 1 at the moment, which you really don't want against the mice anyways. The squirrels are just going to die to the mice, and the mice, of course, being free units. But Mishi does have to keep a good amount of squirrels and falcons in his comp to deal with these balloons. That's really the big roadblock. I like this move for Mishi, letting the mice kind of deal with Tatanka's army. Look at this, though. I mean, again, mass squirrels sometimes just ends games. And Mishi's running out of food. Mishi never got this 4th base up and running. Oh my god, now he's stuck in the corner. He's got 6 owls, though. He's got a lot of balloons. I think he will clean up all these squirrels from Tatanka, but it's going to depend. I mean, these mice aren't really getting the critical mass that they need. Mishi is starving Tatanka with the 30-plus squirrels. I think it's going to take him out. It looked really good for Mishi for a minute there, but I think the big story is that Mishi just never got that 4th base up and running. So yeah, he won a big fight, but off the back end of the fight, he wasn't able to deny a base from Tatanka. He wasn't able to get an extra base up on his own. And Tatanka with the Zap Brannigan style, as I like to call it. Just throwing lives haphazardly into the front line. Will eventually work. Yeah, what a crazy match. 2-1 here. In Tatanka's advantage. I think the comp was right. I think Mishi just didn't have the 4th base. So that brings us to game number 4 here. In the bottom, we have Mishi going back to that wolf mole. And up top, Tatanka, again, with the holy grail of decks, as I like to call it. Tatanka decided this is the comp. This is what to bring out. And again, I think it's a really fun parallel to the last Grand Finals, because it was the kind of the opposite there, right? Where Mishi had figured out something that was good against Tatanka, and Tatanka had tried to figure out how to deal with it, which he ended up not being able to. So now Mishi's in that position. Mishi, I think, can pretty much assume Tatanka's going to run the same deck every time, and Mishi's got to figure out the way to actually deal with it. And you know what? He won last time with this deck. We didn't get to see the wolf come out, but the squirrel mole aggression was enough. So I'm curious how the wolf will work in the late game. I feel pretty confident about the wolf cam falcon. Yeah, love to see that boar fox style. That's really cool. So looking at these maps here, not a lot to say in the early game. We are going to go into second base. We haven't fully committed to just a 16 farm farming just yet. We could still see some one base aggression. Map honestly pretty balanced, right? 3 bases for both sides. Both positions seem pretty reasonable. Yeah. I don't think you have much to complain about here. Tatanka flirting with a little bit of danger here outside of Mishi's base, but not going to commit. Scouting is very important here. You want to know if your opponent is committing to that 2-base farms, or if they're transitioning to tier 1, or if they're trying to hide a sneaky tier 3 or something. So right now it's really going to be both players just scouting in, trying to make sure they have full understanding of what their opponent is spending their money on. So yeah, neither side with any real big commitments at the moment. We are getting up to 16 farms pretty quick. I guess that is a form of a commitment. And we do have reasonably low unit counts right now. It looks like both players want to get all the way up to 16 farms just off 3 Squirrel Warrens. And now is the interesting time. What is the next move going to be? Are we going to see tier 3 get thrown down? Ooh, Tatanka's selling a little bit. I think he was about to throw down his tier 3. There it is. Did Mishi see the sell? Mishi hasn't, but we'll be able to come in here and scout that. Sees the board is on the way. And again, does Mishi build falcons, in which Tatanka is going to build a fox? There's a double falcon to deal with the boar. I mean, Tatanka scouts the double falcon. I'm curious if he gets the fox, right? Because obviously the fox deals with the falcons, but do you have enough time and money to do that right now? He does have 180. Yeah, he's going to sell stuff off. Get the balloon. Get a little bit of defense, and then get the fox. Wolf on the way for Mishi as well. Okay, we wanted to float for the boar, and here comes a fox warren. Yep. There it is. How far behind is Wolf? Wolf is pretty far out there. Tatanka's going to have a good opportunity to push in with the boar, while Mishi is just on Squirrel Falcon. But I'm curious if Tatanka will push out immediately. My guess is no. I think he does just want to go ahead and wait for that fox at this point. Good scout from Mishi, sees the fox. Got a mole more in it. Tatanka will respond with the squirrels. Well, a little bit of fun micro there. Well, third base on the way here for Mishi. And the board's up, so does Tatanka move out now? I wouldn't hate to see him, like, think about it. I don't think you should really do a full engage, but maybe I can bait Mishi into my defense or something. I mean, picking off that balloon, hey, 120 bucks right there. Yeah, so that's probably going to be it now that this balloon got up from Mishi. And yeah, Tatanka's just going to wait for that fox, makes sense, but here's the wolf. So I guess the micro... Oh man, the balloon walls are so hard to deal with. I guess the micro from Mishi here are going to want to get that wolf buff on the falcons and then gun down that fox very quickly. I think is going to be the priority. Mishi with that starvation farm too. Because again, this is a 3-base only game from both sides, so this could be really fun. Again, if one side doesn't just delete the other. There's a lot of potential for this to get pretty scrappy since there's not a lot of money on the map. And most of it's already been claimed. Alright, got the wolf buff on these falcons. Gonna run in, try to clear out some of these balloons. Get some decent damage on. Lose a lot of falcons in the process though. Oh, this is such a tense moment. I'm curious if this Wolfcam Falcon is going to be able to hold up here. He's got to get that angle. You know, the second base is still important, but it is going to fallow out within the next few minutes. I think this third base is really where you need to get in. Really great balloon coverage here for Tatanka. For both sides, really. Mishi's got quite a nice line of balloons as well. Mishi doesn't have to invest as much into balloons either. A little bit of a tighter choke here. And the big thick tier 2 army coming out for Mishi. Does he consider a second wolf, I wonder? Lots of moles here on the front. Tank some of the damage, blow up some of the mines rather. I think maybe he doesn't want the extra eco out of these pigs. Seemed to specifically move his wolf away from that. I guess he wants to prioritize the production. He also doesn't want to drain out. He realizes maybe this is going to be a long game. Doesn't really want to drain his resources too quickly. Mishi going to come in. This is a really bad choke. Kill a balloon or two. Try to bait Tatanka into coming through the choke. Let's see, 5 Falcons still in the air for Mishi. And Mishi's just going to commit to knocking out this third base. This is huge. That's a very crippling damage, but if Mishi just loses his whole army here, can Tatanka possibly counterattack and return the favor? These foxes really going to town. Tatanka going to be relying on the squirrels here to knock out these balloons. If Mishi can keep these balloons safe. Oh, the fox goes down. Beautiful target fire off that balloon from Mishi. Still another fox here, though, for Tatanka with that 2 fox style. Got a little bit of fox insurance. And this is good for Mishi. I mean, he got the mission accomplished. He knocked out the eco from Tatanka. And as his second bases have started to fallow out, you know, Tatanka is driving on fumes here. But he still has a pretty strong army comp. I think this is kind of Tatanka's last chance. The wolf did die for Mishi. But Tatanka really needs to come in here and return the favor to get this back into a game. If this push doesn't work, I think Mishi's just too ahead on money. And the target firing onto the boar begins for Mishi. Should be able to kill this boar. Oh, not going to commit to it, though. Doesn't want to lose these exposed falcons. The fox, so good at killing falcons. Probably the biggest counter, hard counter in the game is fox and falcon. Outside of, I guess, you know, ferret balloon or something like that. You know what I mean. But keeping this boar alive for Tatanka's huge. You absolutely cannot afford another boar. So what you see is what you get as far as the tech units. And one of the foxes goes down. An additional wolf is here for Mishi. And I think too much time has passed now. I think Tatanka is just a little bit too starved for money. He's still got a nice army, though. And he is still taking pop shots. Ooh, almost gets that wolf. Slowly trying to reestablish his third base. That was a really smart decision for Mishi to target that third base. I was a bit worried about it, to be honest. Yeah, that was a very bold move from Mishi. That could have easily not worked. Imagine if the base didn't die, or if Tatanka, you know, took a little bit better of an engagement there. It wiped Mishi's army so badly that he counterattacks and wins. So, I mean, yeah, Mishi, for one, like, pushing out against the board through this choke to get Tatanka's army a little bit away and then committing on to the third base. Tatanka is going to commit to another boar. So he's gonna boar falcon it, or boar fox it here till the very end. Mishi did see that the boar warren is still there. And you know what? I mean, Mishi's economy is starting to run dry too. Maybe I counted Tatanka out a little bit too early. Tatanka is starting to get this third base reestablished. And Mishi is literally almost out of money. He's got these 2 campfires. Don't forget about those. And then he's going to have this one last pig. And Tatanka does have this campfire as well in the back. It's almost dried up by now. Army values are pretty even. 1 balloon left on the board for Mishi. Oh, man. I mean, Tatanka's still got a lot of money left on this base. I think maybe the turns have tabled here. And Mishi's the one who needs to end this game. Because if Tatanka has the capability to expand his economy right now, where Mishi doesn't, right? So if you just sit back and let this game happen, Tatanka would get ahead eventually. So smart decision making by Mishi to go ahead and just try to end it here. That Wolfcam Falcon Squirrel absolutely slaughtered the forces for Tatanka there. Like, damn, like that was a slaughter. I didn't think it would go that well for Mishi. 12 points for Mishi, no, just 2. All right, we're tied up 2-2. That's pretty hype. Hopefully we see this series go all the way to game number 7. As we're hopping into the 5th match here. Is Tatanka going to change it up? Or is he going to stick with this this Ferret Fox Boar style? Alright, on left-hand side, Tatanka, and over in the bottom, Mishi. Tatanka this time just, actually, yeah, making some changes. Going Cam Falcon, actually changing it up quite a bit. You still got that Ferret Boar in there. Grabbing the turrets as well. Ferret turrets, always fun. Turrets also a good way to kind of leverage trying to get into a faster than normal boar or something like that. So yeah, Tatanka with pretty significant game plan change, I want to say. I feel like he's got like a 5-farm Warren on the way for Tatanka, by the way. I imagine Mishi will... Oh, Mishi! Okay. I was going to say, if he didn't follow-up scout, sometimes I do that too. I mean, he already did a good job scouting the map, but you know what I mean? Sometimes you're like, they're not going to do it. And you go scout the map, and then they 5-farm doubled you, and you lose. Tatanka selling it off, though. Might be playing with fire a little bit here. Does this give Mishi a small chance to poke and prod with that squirrel? Nah, Mishi's not going to go for it. So I like Tatanka here. I feel like his deck has like 3 different plans going on. You know, you've got that boar push. You've got that ferret turret if the map is good for it. A little rush here from Mishi. And then finally you got Cam Falcon to scale into later on. Not committing onto that big. I think he had enough time to kill it, but Mishi decides against it. Lots of money here from Mishi. Needs to be careful, throw down some Warrens. And Mishi's suggesting to Tatanka, let's go ahead and expand. That was kind of funny. He canceled it and then rebuilt it, so he was thinking about being a little cheeky. Really bad map for Tatanka, I feel like. Mishi's going to pretty naturally get this high ground, especially if he just throws a balloon up here. And yeah, this is a tough base for Tatanka to take. Maybe Tatanka realizes that, and he's like, you know what, I got some turrets. I could really just mass squirrel, maybe get some turrets up here on the high ground, really plant the flag here, and not just give Mishi all this territory. You're going to come in, but I think these armies are just pretty much going to trade. Yeah. Yeah, this space is rough for Tatanka. I mean, he could have taken these ones over the side. They would have been safer. But let's see. I mean, to be fair, if Tatanka does get this base established, it's going to be very easy for him to threaten Mishi's second base with the turrets, with the ferrets. He's also going to kind of take this base out of the game. Because Mishi won't really be able to expand to it. So this is pretty fun. I feel like it's on Tatanka to make a move, though. I think if Mishi just kind of keeps building squirrels, keeps building farms, you know, scouts out, make sure nothing crazy's coming up. I feel like Tatanka's really the one who's got to get up here and make something happen. And here he comes. He's got a small squirrel lead at the moment, but Mishi with the defender's advantage should even it out. Want to be careful with this gristmill. It is about half HP. Big fights coming in, and Tatanka is going to win round 1, but the reinforcements from Mishi should be here in time to prevent Tatanka from getting any real damage done. Does force a sell off of farm. And so far, I mean, again, you know, pretty even trade. Tatanka just kind of delaying the game with these pushes. Or delaying the tech, I should say. You know, we got to spend money remaking these squirrels. We don't have money to get into Tier 2 or Tier 3. Both players still just trying to sneak out some farms here or there. But I think when Mishi throws down the balloon up here, it's when it's going to really start getting dicey. And both players really understand how important this territory I've been talking about is. You see Tatanka getting that first turret up. And he does get it up, but he's going to lose a lot of squirrels here. Trying to buffer and get room for this turret. And I think Mishi's going to have enough left over to just knock this turret out. So that fight went a little bit more Mishi favored. The moles helping out there on the front line with some tanking, with a little bit extra damage. And this is not looking good for Tatanka. Mishi beginning the snowball here off that last attack. I think Tatanka committed a little bit too hard to trying to get that turret up. That trade was not good for him. But Mishi not going to overcommit, just going to bring it back for now, re-rally. I think Mishi should continue the attack, though. Tatanka's under a lot of pressure right now. Mishi still has the army advantage. And Mishi is able to get that full saturation on the second base. Tatanka following suit here shortly. We are past that 5-minute mark, though. So, that main base is fallowing out. We're still stuck on tier 1 because this map is short. So short, and also, how do I say it? Like, positioning on the map, territory on the map matters so much on this map gen here. Both players know it, and that's why we're really committing to a ton of tier 1 here. The turret does get up, but Mishi with the moles will be able to slap it down pretty quickly, and that is just one too many bad fights. Tatanka getting absolutely ran over there. That's going to be game. Mishi with the moles really showing you how good they can be in these early game fights here. All right, 3-2 for Mishi. Bringing us into game number 6. Let's get into it. Okay, on the right-hand side, we've got Mishi, and up top, Tatanka. Tatanka going back to Old Faithful here. And Mishi, with this style that he kind of tweaked to deal with Tatanka. I like the tweak for Mishi. He didn't overreact to Tatanka's wonky style and get really out of his wheelhouse. You know, again, I think the core of Squirrel Mole Cam Falcon is what Mishi's wanting to play with here today. And he's just been kind of fine-tuning that tier 3 slot. Last time we saw that Wolf work pretty well against Tatanka's comp. And this map is weird. It's a weird map. I think it's a little better for Mishi, but it's kind of awkward on both sides. The only reason I say that is because I think this second base is a little bit easier for Mishi. But to be honest, maybe this second base for Tatanka is not as bad as it looks. It is decently far away from the high ground here from Mishi. Generally, this is bad when your second base is right next to a high ground that your enemy has control of, but we're pretty far away, and there's a little bit of water in the middle. So, you know, not the best thing in the world for Tatanka, but I think he's going to be fine with it. Getting into the third base is going to be really hard for both sides. Maybe this is going to end up with Mishi 4, Tatanka 3 split if we do get into that late game again. I mean, it looks like Tatanka could pretty easily take the 9 o'clock, and Mishi can grab these bases down here. But it's really going to depend on who's controlling this area a lot, because the only way for Mishi to get to these other bases is through this way. There's no, like, back way, you know what I'm saying? So if Tatanka's really got this area locked in with, like, balloons and mines and unit positioning, it might be hard for Mishi to get down here and expand. So we'll have to see. But so far, just rock and roll aggression on both sides here. No second base. I think maybe this might be a nod to the weirdness of this map from both sides, where they're like, you know what? Let's just play. Let's throw squirrels at each other and see what happens. Tatanka gonna sneak to 9 o'clock. Little ninja base. Mishi hasn't committed to an expansion yet, actually going for the cams. So hoping to be able to leverage those cams at a big open engagement. Double cam even. Okay. Tatanka might actually push out here. And with the positioning of these Warrens from Mishi, I mean, they're not going to get Pigfire to help back him up. So if Tatanka starts winning a fight, if Tatanka pushes in right here and starts winning, he's just going to snowball the game so hard. Because these Warrens are going to die immediately. So yeah, here's that balloon I was talking about. I imagine this whole area is really going to get ballooned up from Tatanka, which might just lock Mishi off these bases. Second base coming down for Mishi. Tatanka also grabbing this base, probably mostly for... Oh, Mishi trying to do some fancy mole stuff at the bottom. I almost missed it. But didn't quite rally it right. He's having to come back and babysit these moles a little bit better. But it's going to knock out this mill. Which is a nice little victory. Smart move by Mishi to come back immediately. Because you could assume Tatanka's probably going to try to push off that. I mean, obviously Mishi wants to sell these moles. Oh, but you know what? I wonder if Mishi can take this engagement in such a time, yeah, where these moles are coming in through the back and start hitting this grist mill. No, they're just going to start chunking in on the squirrels, but still a good surround here for Mishi. Nice extra usage out of these moles, and he's going to deny this second base. This is not looking good for Tatanka. That ferret coming out, but again, ferrets are strong units in certain situations, but they're not what you need, and just, we're punching each other in the face, you know, skirmishes. And this might be it. Unfortunately, I was hoping to see this go to game number 7. Tatanka is going to stabilize, but did he take too much damage? Actually, he might not even stabilize. More and more reinforcements coming in from Mishi. Keep in mind, Mishi does have a couple extra farms on that second base behind all this. Oh, man. I think Mishi's going to end it out here. I think we're all kind of hyped for that game number 7, but we still had a fantastic series. And it looks like Mishi will be advancing into the semifinals. Tatanka doing his best here to hold on. Hopefully the pie in the sky is getting that boar out, but I just don't think it's going to happen. Mishi is just coming in here. The pain train cannot be contained. And Mishi is going to toot on that train all the way to the semifinals. Well played for both sides. Congratulations to Mishi for advancing on.